Wherever there's an episodic series, you can bet two men will talk to you. AJ Talon and Owen Finch give their thoughts on Owen and AJ Talks.
Hello, and welcome to Owen and AJ Talks. I'm here with our special guest, the randomly affectionate Mr. Moo. He's Owen Finch, and I'm AJ Talon.
Yeah, and we're just going to continue our trend of doing videos that we've been talking about for a long-ass time and finally getting them done. It seems like that's been a big trend these last couple of years, and this one's a big one. It's the Death Note short stories. These are short stories that they released after Death Note was made, after the manga came out, or the anime, or both. I'm not really.
Well, yeah, the anime I think was already out. Obviously, one of the chapters was before everything. But yeah, most of these came out after the manga was finished.
Yeah, so I'm really happy about this. We wanted to do some type of Death Note video this year because this past May was like the 20th anniversary that the anime came out. And obviously, we didn't really plan around that because we didn't even know it was the 20th anniversary. Probably should have realized it because we were doing Death Note pretty consistently, but we forgot what the air dates were because it had been years. So we're like, okay, we're going to try to see if we can fit a Death Note video in, and here we are. We're fitting it in.
Yeah, we still have plenty of Death Note projects we want to do. We, of course, have like the other live-action stuff, the movies, the 10-episode show. But we... the pilot was kind of like a big thing that I wanted to do because, it's always fun to kind of see what the original idea was. Kind of like with the Avatar Last Airbender pilot that we did. It was kind of just cool to see what they kept and what they disregarded.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I always try to...
it isn't just the pilot. We also have everything else that was compiled in the Death Note short stories. So we have a couple things to go over.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Kind of nice to get back into Death Note again. We haven't watched it, or really covered it much. And we've been so good, we haven't roasted on Neo because that was a big thing on our channel for a while. We've moved on, but now he's gonna come back. So
yeah, it's like as soon as we think we're done, we're pulled back in, and that is very fitting because our first short story is a near-focus story. Yay!
Woohoo!
Yep, so the first short story that we're covering is called Sea Kira. And we're going to find out the C stands for cheap.
Yep.
Yep, so Owen, you get to guess when this originally came out. You can guess both the Japanese and the American if you want.
Okay. So, obviously, I know Chapter 2. I think that this one's obviously first. So if I had to make a guess, I'm going to say that it's somewhere... the Death Note anime was, came out in America in 2006. So I am going to guess that this came out... I'm going to guess that this came out in... does it have, like, the exact date? Like, I know the Avatar video, it was just a month, so... okay, so I'm going to guess that this came out on September 4th, 2009.
Owen, you're off, but only by a couple months. So this was originally sold in Shonen Jump magazine on February 25th, 2008.
Okay.
And then, of course, it was put into the book Death Note Short Stories on October 2nd, 2016 in Japan, and in English, September 5th, 2017.
Okay. Yeah, so at least in the Japanese version, I'm only off by like a year. The English version, I'm off by...
Not even. Guess what, like April 2009, February 2008? Yeah, you were about a year.
Yeah, about a year, so...
this is set 3 years after the end of the Death Note manga, where, of course, Light was killed by Ryuk. Which is funny because it was published 2 years after the manga ended. so it was still published like a year in the future, kind of.
Yeah. By the way, should we mention because you're doing the notes for this and like gonna actually cover this, but should we mention the funny story? Because it was supposed to be flipped. I was supposed to be doing the notes for this, but obviously it's flipped. I kind of want to mention the funny reason behind that because you're gonna see how much of not manga anime fan I am, sort of. But it's not completely my fault. But so obviously we didn't read this via the book. We obviously downloaded an app. It's called Show on Jump. I probably got that. Shonen Jump. I don't know how to say that. And I used AJ's account, and he read it before I did because he probably read it like while he was at work or something. But I read it like Monday, the day we were gonna do the video, because I'm such a huge procrastinator type of thing. But it's good that I did though, because we didn't even end up doing the video, so technically I didn't procrastinate. So, what ended up happening is because AJ had already read it, and I'm signed under his account, it like just went to wherever he left off. And it went to like the end of the chapter. So like I forgot that when you read a manga or like anything Japanese, they don't read. Yeah, it's backwards. They read right to left. But obviously, and it tells you on the app too, but obviously I was like swiping and I don't think it like said it because like the things wouldn't come up to like say that or anything like that. I'm not going to take full fault for this because I blame the app for this, because the book should have like restarted, or the chapter should have like restarted when you finished it and all that type of stuff.
Compared to the app, Owen, you might not have noticed it, but in the corner it does actually have a little arrow to say read this way.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you're on your phone, though, it doesn't, like, you have to tap it.
I finished the chapter, and when you went in, it, like, left off where I was, which was, like, the last page, yeah.
So,
it should have, like...
Yeah, it should have restarted since you finished it type of thing, but whatever, so. But that's why, but what ended up happening was because, for chapter 1, I ended up reading that backwards, and I didn't notice until I got to like page 7, and as we talk about, they were like talking about how like there's a new Kira out and everything like that. I'm like, wait a minute, there already was a new Kira. What are you talking about? And then I'm like, oh wait, I read the fucking book backwards, so I'm gonna be all confused if I do the notes for this and everything like that type of thing. I think I could have read it again, but it was also. I didn't have time to read it twice because we were supposed to do this video yesterday, and like I still had to read the pilot chapter, and the pilot chapter was like, oh my gosh, the pilot chapter is longer than I thought it was because I had to jump ahead.
I mean, that one was what, like 50 pages. I mean, that's not too bad.
Yeah, but I still had to read the other. I still had to read the other books because I read chapter 1, and then I read like chapter 2. Not realizing we weren't going to actually do that video, so I didn't finish I didn't finish this until like 9:30 when we hopped on yesterday, so I didn't have time to read. If I read that twice, we wouldn't have done any video yesterday. So
yeah. But so this is Owen's first manga reading experience, off to a strong start.
Hey, I blame that. I'm not gonna. I'll take some fault for that, but I'm blaming the app somewhat because the app should have restarted. So
fair enough. But yeah, this chapter was, of course, after the manga had finished up. It was a special chapter. Just which is funny because I want to call it the sequel chapter, but we can't do that because obviously they made another sequel chapter. Like way later, with of course the Akira.
Yeah, so kind of weird.
We already.
Yeah, we'll probably go over it. So
yeah, and of course this was only published like 2 years after the manga ended, so this is a more closer follow up on like where the characters are. Being an epilogue, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if you remember Death Note. Light dies, and then it pretty much just ends. Like we don't really get much on like what happened to everybody else.
Yeah, so
I guess it's kind of give closure to all the other side characters.
Yeah, I like that. I like that we got some closure on them, so that's nice.
It's unfortunate because the main character of this chapter is fucking near. Okay. So yeah, basically, it's of course, as I said, 3 years into the future after Light has been killed. And people have noticed that Kira isn't around anymore. But people still are like, he's still got like his own cult. People worship him, and people think like he's just, they have all these conspiracy theories of like, oh, he's just resting, or he's like biding his time. Because of course, after Light was killed, they didn't like tell everybody about the Death Note. And they even discuss that later in this chapter, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we already kind of knew this because we already read this other sequel chapter, which is set like 10 years after this, where the kid in that mentions that like they learned about Kira in like school.
Yeah.
They don't know much about him specifically.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool that like they kept it a secret. Like I said, we knew this from the other chapter. They mentioned it kind of like in the movie, like one of the live action ones we watched. That they happened there too. Like they kept that a secret type of thing. So
yeah.
So pretty cool. Pretty cool. They kept that a secret. I guess they didn't want like people to know that like Kira had been like killed off or captured because then maybe people will go back to like their crimes and all that type of stuff, type of thing.
Wait, so. It's as we're going to talk about. It's also just like it's like, okay, guys, we captured Kira. So the reason he was killing everybody because he had a magic notebook given to him by a death god. It's like, how do you even like explain that to people?
Yeah, really is no way. Yeah.
But yeah, this story picks up because people have suddenly started to die again, but it's not criminals like with Light. It's elderly people, people who are typically over the age of 65, who are like dealing with big health issues, who kind of want to just let go, but are being kept alive by hospitals or their family members. And this new Kira is killing off these people presumably out of like mercy. And like nobody's really sure this is the case, because like with Light, it's very obviously somebody was like something was doing this, because like a bunch of like criminals all over the world were suddenly just like dropping dead. Like that's obviously suspicious. Whereas with this, people are like, I mean, these people were like sick, like it's very suspicious that like all of a sudden their health like rapidly declined and they died. But like you can't automatically say like this is like a new Death Note.
Neo can, because he reads the scripts.
Yeah, but except Near's like, oh yeah, no, it's some new guy who got a Death Note probably.
Yeah, he probably had this like manga in his room type of thing. So,
yeah. Again, he's just fucking reading the screen. We never even see this new Kira's face or learn his name. But Nier probably already fucking knows his social security number, how many moles he has on his fucking ass, his whole life story. Like, Nier knows everything about this guy.
And he doesn't even have the Shinigami eyes and nothing, and all that type of stuff.
He has an even more powerful power. He has the power of reading the fucking script. So yeah, Nier is the new L. Yep, that's a thing. That sucks. And he's been kind of like with Light taking over for L originally, where nobody knew that it was a different guy. Same thing. Like, presumably everybody still thinks like Nier is the original L.
Boy, are they mistaken.
Yeah, no, it's some cheap knockoff. I feel like calling him like the dollar store version is an insult to dollar stores.
You gotta call him the 99-cent version. Because it's a 99-cent store.
He is the negative dollar, whereas I will give you $1 to fucking have him leave.
This is random as hell. I don't know if you ever saw the show The King of Queens. There's a scene where like the dad comes in and he's just like, and he like just discovered the dollar store and all that type of stuff. He's like so excited, he bought all this stuff, and then one of the characters is like, I found a better store and it's called the 99-cent store. And then he's speechless about it, but then he says, those bastards saw me coming a mile away. Like they just made that store. Like he just discovered. It's so funny. It's really funny.
So yeah, Nier's talking with his bitch crew, his fucking hype men, his Declans. The guys who just exist to fucking jerk him off. And they're like, "Oh my god, Nier, you're fucking so awesome. Like, can I please sip your bathwater?" And he's like, "Maybe." And they're like, "Hey, by the way, so like, are you gonna do anything about this like new Kira? And like, how can there even be new Kira? Like, there shouldn't be any more Death Notes. Like, we got rid of the one that we got from Light." And they're like, "I don't know, maybe a new Shinigami drop the Death Note, and or whatever. I don't fucking know. Actually, I do know."
And Nia pulls a SpongeBob from the Welcome to the Chum Bucket episode, which is very fitting because we just did that episode. He's like, I don't really feel like it. Why don't you ask me later?
Yeah. They're like, Nia, you should probably like make a statement publicly or like something. And he's like, nah. And then he just starts yapping about, how he met Al basically. And now he's like, yeah, so, when we were at that orphanage, Whammy or whoever else. Pulled up the laptop and L talked to us through the computer, and a bunch of the kids asked him a bunch of questions, which I like that actually, that because L's not a very social person, but I like that he took time out of his day to talk to these kids.
Yeah, that was good.
And as Nier said, he answered very truthfully.
Yeah, I like that.
Because one of the kids asked why do you hunt criminals? And I do love this from L because kind of showing, because compared to Light, he's the good guy, but he isn't a good person, if that makes sense, where he basically says I don't really do it out of any big sense of justice. In a lot of ways, I'm childish and I'm a cheater and I hate to lose. I do it essentially for my own ego.
Yeah, you got that vibe, from the show and everything like that. He kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was a game to him. Again, he wasn't a bad, because he obviously was against murder, and he repeatedly said Kira is a horrible human being. But and whenever he had to take a life, he would use the death row inmates.
Yeah.
So he had morals, but he wasn't a strictly moral person,
Yeah, I like that. And sometimes he would keep information that would have benefited the task force and everything like that. Which,
that was a big thing, that him and Aizawa had that falling out because L kept testing them and hiding information from them.
Yeah, so I do kind of like that, everything's just kind of a game to L and all that type of stuff. So I like that.
Ace and Nier said that basically, some of the kids kind of lost respect for Al after he said that, but he actually gained respect for Al, that he was that upfront with his motivations.
Yeah, I like that.
And that was basically the only time he actually interacted with Al. But Watery basically said that Al was if I'm gonna have a from the orphanage, it should be either Mello or Nier, because while the other kids were asking me questions, those two kind of just sat back and observed. They get a feel on me, which that is a good thing for detectives. To kind of just sit back, observe, kind of get a feel for whoever you're investigating.
Yeah, I would have loved it, by the way, though, if he actually wanted Mello. But Neo just kept chiming in. He's like, "No, I want this dude. This dude's actually my successor."
Yeah, he's trying to point that Mel. I want that kid. And Nier keeps going in front of his finger.
Yeah. So then they're just
we said it before, but Mello is so much cooler than Nier, and he got no screen time.
Yeah, Mello was awesome. I think now that we've seen both Mello or Cody from Yellow Jackets. The two characters that came in with all this. We literally talked about this yesterday, but now we can talk about it. They came in with all this hype, and the show really squandered them. I think we said Mello is definitely more of the squander because he got a better setup than Cody did and all that type of stuff.
With Cody, it was kind of weird. Where I guess the show didn't make him a huge deal, but the show definitely set him up that he's interesting. There's more to him. They're kind of hinting at maybe he's not really their tour guide. He's pretty competent. He's kind of a badass, and then he just died. I guess Mello's is worse because he had a way better setup where, he captured like sister. He was working with the mafia. He got the Death Note.
Yeah.
He gets blown up. Then he just fucks off like 10 episodes and then shows up just to die. It's like, what the fuck?
You always miss a big one. No, he blows up, comes back, and then fucks off, and then shows up again. Like, you always forget.
Back to die. He comes back just to say, hey, I'm alive. Then fucks off. Then comes back to die.
Yeah.
I
feel like Mellows definitely hurts, but the Cody one what hurts is like, yes, they drop like, because they even say like his name might not even be Cody, but then like literally they're starting to set it up like Hannah's last like, okay, who really are you and everything like that. Like, oh wow, they're actually gonna address this.
Like, they kind of bring that back, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah. Well, I mean, So like, I think Mellows is more disappointing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're both like kind of the same thing where they set up this really cool character, and you think they're gonna like be a big force in the show, and it's like, nah, get fucked.
Yeah.
So I think it also sucked in Mello's case because we got stuck with Nier instead.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, it's like I don't really like Hannah, but like I like Hannah more than Nier. You know.
Right.
There's level.
I think the Hannah one though like sucks because it just didn't even make sense for Cody to die. Like, wow, Cody can actually do Cody can do shit for you guys. Like, Cody's like,
I still don't understand why Hannah did that. I'm like, I don't get it.
I think because I think, and you also know Hannah's gonna die, so I'm like, you're supposed to feel bad when she dies. Like, and now I'm not gonna feel bad when you die. You did this to yourself.
Cody, no remorse, didn't give a fuck.
So, whatever. Let's just get back to the video. I wanted us to talk about that because we haven't been able to talk about that yet. So probably should have made that its own video, but I don't know if it now. There's really no point because we just fucking talked about that.
Yeah, both are the same situation, but Mello's worse.
Yeah.
Mello's better, but it sucks more that it happened to him, But yeah, and then Nier is basically like, he's trying to think like, what would L do? Would he take this case? What's up with that? And we get a little bit of the task force where we see what they're up to nowadays. We see this new guy's with them. And he's taking it pretty well. He's like, oh, Death Gods, the Death Note. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Cool. Why not? Matsuda's there. Yay. But in Death Note, I like that Matsuda was kind of like the middle ground where obviously he was against what Kira was doing, but he would kind of occasionally say like, hey, listen, obviously I'm against his methods, but like, I kind of like the idea.
Yeah.
Of like taking out these like horrible criminals, but obviously like when confronted with Light, he fucking shot the shit out of him. And he kind of proved himself, and like he's not just a comic relief. Here I don't really like that he's kind of the middleman this time. He's again after what happened with Light, I feel like he shouldn't be like is this Kira really doing the wrong thing?
Yeah, especially with how heartbroken he was with like.
Well, remember that was like what Light was trying to do. He's like, listen, Matsuda, I know you understand. Like work with me, help kill the others.
Yeah.
So Matsuda was like, fuck that.
Man, that Matsuda video is just gonna be really sad to deal with. Did he want to lose because he?
I know the ending really like was great for him. He really stood out in that ending. And these sequel chapters have been kind of fucking him up. But yeah, where he's basically saying like, hey, listen, like, is it really that bad that like these people want to die? And like they're obviously a big like they're suffering from health issues. Maybe it's kind of a good thing that they are like getting put out of their misery.
Again,
and, basically just for as I would say, like it's still murder, like it's still bad, like like this guy's playing God, you can't just do that.
Yeah, and again, maybe they don't want to. Maybe they there's a chance they think they can actually get like better and all that type of stuff. Like,
yeah.
Again, I don't mind that. I guess a nice conversation to have. It just should have been Matsuda. It should have been the new guy that talked about this, not Matsuda.
Yeah, I would have liked that if the new guy brought up, and then Matsuda is kind of the one that shut him down because Matsuda is like, hey, listen, I was in your shoes. Like, I kind of saw where they were coming from, but like, it's nah, man. no.
Yeah.
Uh,
And let's talk about L. Like, L's talking about, like, I'm sorry, not L. Neo's talking about what would L do? What would L do? Like, dude, carve your own path. Like this.
Yeah, exactly. Even at the end, he basically doesn't carve his own path. He's just like, would L do this? I don't know, fucking know, but I'm L now, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're L now. Like, I know you're trying to make it seem like it's the same guy, but like, you could, people, you could also carve your own path. You know why he can't carve his own path? Because Neo sucks. He's just a rip off L, so he doesn't know what his character is.
Yeah,
so
what am I? I'm not just sucking on whatever L's remnants were. But yeah, basically Sakurai TV, which I like that these guys still are around after all the shit that's happened with these guys throughout Death Note. These guys are still on air.
yeah, I don't know how they didn't get pulled, and all that type of stuff.
But there's been a lot of debates on like if this new Kira is like right or wrong, and they have a bunch of like anonymous people kind of debating it on TV. And then as the debate goes on, they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I want to die. And it's like, what? And they like knock over the things like keeping them anonymous. And they're like, you know what? I'm not even old and sick. I just want to die. Fucking kill me. And then they start dropping dead. And then they obviously pull the network. So this is like the confirmation that like, yeah, no, this is a new Kira.
Yeah.
And like it is a Death Note, like it has to be. Yeah. And then pretty much the only thing that happens after this is Nier makes a statement on TV after the recording gets pulled, and he's like, "Hey, look, so obviously this is a new Kira, and as L, you're probably thinking I'm gonna get this guy." But I forgot to mention it. They also debate, like the Death Note because they destroyed it, and they're like. They basically the reason they didn't reveal it to the world is like it would create like who would even believe it, and also like it would create a lot of chaos.
Yeah, like maybe, huh?
Which yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I can understand that because then people would be like, "Well, approve it," and then like someone would write in the Death Note, and then like it would like just cause a whole bunch of chaos and all that type of stuff. So,
yeah. But here is like, yes, you might be thinking I'm going to take this case. No. I don't really feel like it. And then he just fucks. He kind of flips off the task force too. He's like, yeah, you know what? The Japanese can handle it. Like their police force should fucking handle it. They should do. I'm not doing their job for them. But I do like this where Isaiah was like, you know what? Fuck this. You know what? No, yeah, he's right. We shouldn't be relying on L and Nier anymore. Like, fuck these guys.
Yeah. So.
Kind of sucks though. That's the last thing. That's the last we see of them in this chapter. And then the last time we see them is the other sequel chapter, the 8 Kira, where they don't really accomplish anything in catching the new Kira.
Yeah.
Anything that makes it worse is he gets on TV and confirms that the Death Note's real.
Yeah. The fact that Neo just decided like fuck it, I'm not gonna solve this case. Like I have no interest in this. It's like. Why? So
weird to just like get on TV just to be like, oh, by the way, I'm not helping. Bye.
Yeah. So, if anything, that would ruin L's reputation. If you see, I would think L would want to step in if you see there's another Kira out there and all that type of stuff.
But he basically, before he leaves, he basically just gives his reasoning. He's like, yeah, by the way, new Kira, I'm calling you C Kira because you're cheap Kira.
Yeah,
because before he was like, because when he mentioned Light, he was like, I don't respect what he did, but he did improve the world in his own way. He did stop wars and stop crimes by like 70%. Whereas like, nah, this new guy just sucks. He's just a coward. And because he also mentioned because he's like trying to make a profile for this guy. And he's like, he's probably a young guy. Because I guess it was like a common thing for like young people to just believe that old people were kind of just like a weight on society. It's like, oh, all the old people just die. That's like less of a burden for everybody else.
Yeah, I guess.
And it was like this young guy, maybe he has like a dying relative or something. and and he kind of believes that like he should like give like the mercy to like everybody else or something.
Don't know what information he has to think this was a young guy and all that type of stuff. Other than
well, we don't even see this guy, so it's like I mean we're just kind of spitballing. Again, we can only assume Nier is right because he fucking has the power of the script.
Yeah. So,
and he's like, see Kira, you suck, you're a murderer. And then you just see like in one panel the guy listening to this stop writing. And that's all you see this guy of this new Kira is his hand, and that's it. And then we cut to the Shinigami world where Ryuk is there, and then this other death god comes up, and he's like, basically, Ryuk started the fucking Apple drug trade in the Shinigami world, where they're basically like, yeah, if we just like give the Shinigami King like apples, he'll just give us death notes, like extra death notes.
Which is funny, yeah.
And I guess the other death gods like heard that Ryuk was having a great time by giving his death note to a human. So that's why like this new Shinigami like gave his death note to a human to like have fun.
Yeah.
And this death god comes back and he's like, yeah, it was starting to get good when he got called out on TV, but then this human just like stared at the wall for 3 days, then all of a sudden started screaming and then wrote his own name in the death note. Basically, like implying like after Nier called him a bitch, he just like had a panic attack and killed himself. It's like, oh, okay.
I don't know, if Nier called me a bitch, I'd be like, if I'm being called a bitch by Nier, maybe I'd want to die too. Yeah,
it's like, damn, I'm lower than Nier. Fuck, I should die. But yeah, and then Ryuk is like, oh yeah, see, you found a boring human. You need to find an interesting one. And he thinks back to what Light said about how human, you need to find a human with like conviction.
Yeah. So.
Because I guess that's basically the thing is, Light, even though he won fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, he fucking did that shit till he died. Whereas, this guy got called a bitch once and then he fucking killed himself.
But, yeah. Again, can't blame you though, because if you're getting called a bitch by Nier, it's like, yeah, there's not really much to live for there. So.
Exactly.
Overall.
And then it kind of ends. Ryuk gives his catchphrase about humans are so interesting. And then it ends.
Overall, this was solid though, I guess. I like the premise of like the new Kira killing like old people to put them out of their misery. Maybe I don't know how solid this was though. I didn't really like Matsuda's role in this manga. Again, it's all based.
Nier's the focus, and Nier sucks.
Yeah.
I wish it was more about the task force.
And then Nier just decided he doesn't want to fucking solve the case, and then just calling this guy a bitch, and then the guy fucking just decided like, oh, the guy just fucking died. It's like, okay, but this isn't much of a cat and mouse game here. Yeah. So.
And the thing is, like, there was something kind of interesting here about, like, Kira's cult still worshiping him even after he's disappeared. And I'm like, I want more of that. Maybe, like, instead of a new Death Note, some of, like, Kira's cults are, like, they start killing criminals in, like, Kira's name. And the task force kind of have to deal with the fact that, like, even though Light's dead, like, he's impacting the world. Like, he's kind of influenced other people to, like, take up this crusade.
Yeah, I would have liked that,
Yeah, that would be cool. Again, I just want more of the task force. I kind of just don't give a shit about Nier. I don't fucking keep him away.
And as you see, Nier really does suck because he doesn't do anything in these 2 chapters. So
yeah, it is so funny. We get 2 sequel chapters for Death Note. This one, he decides I don't really feel like it, and then the second one, he tries to do something, but he's like, oh, I can't do shit. Damn, I suck.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if they just realized Nier sucked, like the writers or whatever. Then they're like, well, I guess Nier really did suck. Or like, maybe I wonder if the writers sometimes themselves realize like maybe we picked the wrong guy to go up against like Light, because just imagine how cool Mello would have fucking been in these 2 fucking chapters. He would have found a fucking.
Loved Mello, yeah. I mean, I would have fucking loved a piece of dog shit as Al over Nier. So I mean, high bar.
Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
I think this one is worse than the other sequel chapter because this is only 3 years after. I think the other one, wow, it was a little heavy-handed with like the political commentary. It was interesting to see kind of how you do Death Note in the modern day and how they address stuff, like nowadays, with cameras and phones and like internet, like it would be a completely different ball game.
Yeah, here it just really wasn't anything too impressive. The whole thing is just really about like whether or not Neo was going to step in, which I don't get why there had to be a thing. We don't even get to like see.
Yeah, it takes up so much time just near like talking about if he's going to even do the case, just for him to be like, nah.
Yeah, and then, like we don't even get to see this Kira, which is like, what the hell? Like all you see is like his hand. Like you don't get to find out anything about his backstory or nothing like that. I would have liked that. Again, Matsuda was in a really weird role here. Yeah.
Well, they compare this new guy to Higuchi, the business guy, and I'm like, well, I feel like even that's an insult because like even though Higuchi was kind of like a one-note guy, like he was a greedy asshole, but like he was still a pretty good villain,
Yeah, for sure.
He got a pretty good motivation, and like he was kind of the focus for a while. And like they had that whole cool car chase with him.
Yeah, it was good.
So I'm like, Higuchi, even though he was kind of like, he wasn't like as smart as Light or Al, he was still like a cool villain. Whereas this guy, we don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah. Somehow, Takeda in the live action Death Note was a better villain than this guy, and she sucked, and she really sucked. So.
Yeah. Because at least she was like a character, I guess.
Yeah. This guy was. And then this guy just called it. This guy just gets called a bitch and defines his fucking. I'm fucking killing myself. So I was like, I'm gonna give this like a. I'm gonna give this.
I give it minus a C for Sekiro.
Yeah, I'll give this a C minus. Very average. At least it's some. I at least like tried.
No. Sorry, go ahead.
I at least like the fact they tried to like explain like we got to see like a little bit afterwards and like why they're not gonna like say like they're not gonna talk about the Death Note and how they wrapped up like all the light stuff. But yeah, having a new Kira be here and just not finding out anything about him. Too much Neo focus. I mean, Neo just being on screen's too much Neo focus. But this was like quadruple levels of that type of thing. Yeah, real quick, you want to just go over Chapter 2, even though we kind of covered. I will say, like, Chapter 2 we covered on the
Sorry, go ahead.
Chapter 2 we covered before on the CM Brothers channel. I'll link it down below. We did that, like, I think Skype was still a thing when we did that, I think. I don't think we did Discord yet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to just kind of quickly go over that, I guess.
Yeah, we already reviewed it. Basically, the 8 Kira that was written, for like a special event for Shonen Jump. They're like, hey, we're gonna do a sequel that modern day. I think when this came out, I was in college. It was like 2019, 2020. And we reviewed it because we kind of talked about how interesting it would be to do Death Note in the modern day. And yeah, that's what basically the chapter does. We get a new teenager where you give somebody else a Death Note to like have more fun. And the kid basically, instead of, going on a murder spree, decides, you know what, I'm going to sell the Death Note. And it was kind of it was a very interesting premise. I thought it was interesting. It was nice to see, like the task force, even though, again, it sucks that Matsuda got shat on. And, it was very, very cool, just sequel, just to see what was going on with the characters so long after the show had ended.
Yeah,
yeah. Like we said, that had plenty of flaws. Nier sucked in it. As I said, Matsuda's role sucked. And it was very heavy-handed with the political commentary.
Yeah, overall, when we did this at the time, I still feel that way. This was, pretty solid. I liked, obviously, seeing Death Note done in the modern day with, because you really can't do Death Note modern day with the internet being a big thing. Even like, now people, you could like share your location with people nowadays and like people will know consistently where you are. So it was interesting to see how they took the spin on Death Note. I thought this Kira was pretty interesting because he actually wasn't a good student. He was just good at solving puzzles, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, again, there's some things that could have been done better. Neo sucked in this. He somehow, I think, sucked worse in this one than at least the last one, because the last one's like, okay, I can understand it. Maybe you're not just not feeling it today. But this one, you actually like tried to do shit and you like couldn't do anything. Like Neo didn't have a script to go off of, so he couldn't really do anything. And again, it really sucks that Matsuda, because it's our last time we get to see Matsuda. And I still remember that we didn't really catch it until we like did the video, like how badly they really fucked. I remember we spent like a good like 15 minutes like talking about how much they really fucked up Matsuda there, like, because no one really believed it until Matsuda did something. Definitely very political, not really big into politics, so I wasn't really a big fan, obviously.
You could have political messages that are like, even if you don't necessarily like believe like are for the politics, you can still enjoy it if it's like presented in like a cool way.
Yeah.
And likewise, even if you like agree with the politics, if it's presented in a shitty way, you're not gonna like it. I don't really give a fuck about politics. I was kind of rolling my eyes at just how like in your face it was.
Really funny that Donald Trump now is a character in Death Note like series now.
Well, we're gonna have to do a Death Note character tier list. We're gonna have an L tier, light L, and we're have to include the world leaders. Donald Trump, he has to go in there. He's a world leader.
And like I said, if I was gonna guess the air date, I was actually gonna guess like roughly 2019, 22.
Oh, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Because obviously when we did this at the time, it was during Trump's first presidency. So obviously, but yeah, I just really think it's funny. Like, they even put that they had USA get the Death Note and everything like that type of thing, and then Trump's just like, shit, I can't do anything with the Death Note now because they had, and I still feel bad for the new Kira that he got fucked over. Like he did everything right and he got fucked over.
Like he really just got killed at the end for like no reason. Like it was just because it was like where you said like I guess you just if you use the Death Note you're gonna meet an unfortunate end. I'm like that's kind of bullshit. He like did everything right. You just kind of fucked him over at the end for no reason.
Yeah. Hopefully it happens to Light Turner. That'd be nice if they.
I'm really hoping because that never got a sequel. I really hope it ended with like Al just fucking killed him like right after the.
Yeah, I think at the time we gave this a C. I think I still agree with that after like 5 years that we did it.
Yeah. Yeah, like definitely disappointing. You would want more from Death Note because we love Death Note. Like it's kind of one of those things where I'm glad it exists, but it could have been a lot better. And I guess it's more disappointing because with the Avatar comics we went over, they weren't trying to be these big stories. They were just kind of little fun misadventures set in between episodes. Whereas these are like trying to kind of like give an epilogue to these characters and like story. And it kind of like flumps it a bit.
I feel like there probably could have been a better way to do this modern day than just doing like, basically like a sale, like a sale online and all that type of stuff. They probably could have.
I mean, it's kind of clever. Like I think it's an interesting like twist. Instead of him using it, he's gonna sell it.
Yeah.
I'm like that's kind of. I think it's unique. And like I said, it's kind of one of those things where I think the premise carries in more than the actual execution.
Yeah, so, but whatever. But then we have some other stuff to go over. There's chapters 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
So these aren't really long. Both Adrian and I are going to take this. I guess since you've been talking a while, I'll talk for a little bit.
Real quick, you want to guess dates?
So even though the sequel chapter is chapter 2 here, I'm gonna say that these came out before it. And I'm pretty sure one of them was February 2008. I am going to guess that this one was July 2008. July 7th, 2008. Chapter 3.
Yeah, this is the like the gag stuff, right?
Yeah, chapter 3, the gag stuff, the Death Note 4-panel comics, where.
So these ones are kind of funny because they were released separately. So what these were is that like they would just kind of release these, quickly, because they're only like fucking 2 pages. They would kind of just release these in the mag, just periodically. So the first one was released in the spring 2004 issue. Then the summer 2004 issue, then 2005 winter, and 2005 spring. So yeah, these were just kind of released in like the seasonal magazine.
Okay.
As just little gags. Presumably, it's kind of just like if you were already a fan of Death Note, you get these things.
Yeah, but yeah, kind of going over these. These are fun little gags. They kind of show like what how the characters would act like if Death Note kind of wasn't around. You got like a funny gag with Light and L where they're basically trying to like talk about like what color Misa's underpants are and all that type of stuff, and like what how they look like in a bikini. I think what makes this good is like, I know we've seen L do this before, like when he did this when he met Misa the first time and like brought into questioning. But it was kind of nice to see like Light like kind of like get involved with this, because this isn't something that you would have like.
In the real show, he doesn't give a fuck about Misa, but he was like, "L, me and you got to team up. We're gonna team up to figure it out." And then like just see them like in the car, like riding to the beach. It was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, and then you get kind of like I think there's a short here where like you actually get to see like Light's mom, and she's kind of scolding Light for like having a girlfriend and all that type of stuff, which was pretty funny. So that's a good one.
My favorite one was if you remember in the show for like a while, Light and L were handcuffed together. They did a funny one where L was like hanging off a cliff as he was handcuffed to Light, and Light had to like yank him up.
Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see what other ones. And then obviously there's like an apple. I think there's an apple one where like Light put like an apple like into like some type of ceremonial like figure or whatever, and like Ryuk took it and like ate the apple off, and he wasn't actually like supposed to eat the apple, so like Light had to be. So again, I just like the fact, because what these are called are like, these are basically like if everything could like go good for these characters and all that type of stuff. So
yeah. And I mean, these are very brief. They're literally like they're called like 4-panel like gags, essentially. And as I said, these were just kind of little like blurbs in the magazine, just as a little joke. And these are actually pretty common in some manga. Like I know I was reading like Bleach and Tokyo Ghoul as a kid, and some and pretty serious mangas, and then occasionally they would just have these little gags at the very end of the chapter. Presumably just to have a little fun.
Yeah.
For a pretty.
Yeah, I like them. I mean, we just did the Avatar comic yesterday. It kind of reminds you of like, Water War or the Bee episode and in that one type of thing, where it's just fun little adventures and all that.
Well, like you could argue those actually happen in the show, whereas obviously, Light and L did not team up and go to the beach to try to figure out what Misa's underpants color were.
Hey, you don't know. It's off.
Yeah, maybe it did happen. Maybe it did happen.
Because there's some time that passes off screen, so you never know. Then chapter 4, it's kind of L's backstory, which I think this one's pretty cool. This one, it shows that L in the orphanage, and he's being picked on. And I like this. I always thought he would have been beaten up by the bullies, but he actually like beat up the bullies type of thing. Because one of the panels like shows like they beat down his bullies and all that type of stuff. And Walter took like an interest in him, so he brought him in. It showed that L.
Do you want to get the air date?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Or release.
Is
that okay? So these both have the same release date, actually.
What, chapters 4 and 5?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other ones were like 2004. I am gonna go back to 2006, and I am going to guess January 7th, 2006.
You're correct about the month. So this released in in Japanese on January 30th, 2008.
Okay.
And in English, May 10th, 2022. So big gap between
English
and
came out.
So this released when it did because this was released in a special book alongside the L movie, L Changed the World that we reviewed a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's right. I don't know if we had known about
that makes sense, the L movie.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you said, like the L movie came out, there would have been a lot of hype around it in Japan. So obviously they would have wanted to release a backstory on him. I guess it makes sense also too, because they kind of touch a lot on L's backstory, like in that movie, somewhat. So it kind of makes sense to release this.
Yeah.
But yeah. Continuing. But yeah, we get a little bit of L's backstory. We kind of see that like Watery kind of took him in, and L like really wasn't interested in sports or anything like that. He was kind of more interested in like solving puzzles, and he always solved them real well. But then he started solving murder cases, and so this is a really cool fact about L. Like, Watery basically like invested some of L's money or his own money, and like started up like a company, and L would solve cases, and like it actually like worked out for him and all that type of stuff. And L was like wicked young when like Watery started doing that and everything like that type of thing, which is pretty cool. And like
I like this. It's kind of actually like we don't really get a whole lot of it in the show. That we don't even really find out till the episode where like L dies that like Watari was like his adopted father.
Yeah. Just ignore the Netflix Death Note movie because Watery doesn't even know his fucking name in that movie apparently. So
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I raised him, but fuck it, I don't know his name. To be fair, I do like this where because Watari is like the one narrating, and he says like when L came to the orphanage, he was nameless. And on the first day, he like beat up a bunch of kids.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so. But yeah, I kind of like that we got like a nice little L backstory. Really cool too that L Changed the World like got most of this right. Netflix Death Note didn't, but L Changed the World got most of that right. To
be fair, Owen, I think it'd be easier to say what it got wrong over what it got right.
Did I get any? I guess I got the rules of the Death Note right. Sort of.
Oh, the Netflix one? Fuck no. It did not get that right at all. What the fuck?
I did say sort of, because, like, I don't know, actually,
I guess it is a note that brings death. Yes, they got that right.
Yeah, because I forgot no one ever died in a heart attack in that movie, so,
Yeah, well, even then it got it wrong, because fucking, if you burn a page, you, like, don't die, I guess.
Sure. What if you burnt the whole book?
I don't know. I don't think the show thought of that. Well, and also, apparently Light was able to write that if the fucking Ferris wheel could get ripped apart, which that can't happen.
No. And Watery didn't know
his... Remember, like, the Death Note controls your mind, and he wrote it that, like, Misa would only die if she took the book. It's like, that's not how it works. As soon as you write her name, she's being fucking mind controlled.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, Watery should have died of a heart attack when he didn't know L's name. He should have died of a heart attack.
Yeah, and it's like, if he didn't know the name, he would just die. So why fucking have to go on this whole 2-day quest?
Oh my gosh, that movie's so dumb. But I like this though. I think, like I said, the L movie pissed me off. Again, now that I've seen the Netflix stuff movie, I'm like, L movie, you're cool now. You're kind of cool. So.
Yeah. You didn't like it more than me. I think it was kind of just like whatever.
Well, yeah, I hadn't seen the. Maybe I would have thought differently if I'd seen the.
But yeah, I had a good comparison.
So I didn't see it yet. So, but you want to go over chapter 5? I thought chapter 4 was. Oh, we didn't do the letter grades. So should we just grade chapters 3 through 5 like it's one grade because it's still pretty short.
Yeah, these are very short. I give them B. These are kind of what more in line with the Avatar comics, where, like I said, these are just fun little peeks into what the characters were doing.
Wasn't there one more? What did we cover it already?
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, you said we're going to do 3, 4, and 5. 3, 4, and 5 together. So yeah, that's my opinion on. But yeah, number 5, where as you said, chapter 4 was called Whammy's House, which of course is the orphanage that Al grew up in. And then chapter 5 is like it's called like El's Day, which is basically like El's daily routine, what he does, and just how weird he is. Of course, he always sits in that posture. I'm gonna do it right now for authenticity, where he always sits like this.
Yep.
And we see that when he goes to sleep, he doesn't lie in a bed. He has Wakari tip the chair over so he sleeps like that. And how he fucking doesn't like bathing. So Wakari had to build him like a fucking human washing machine. And then Al would just like sit in the washing machine and just like fucking get like that's funny.
Yeah.
I like when Death Note is all serious. Like I'm like that's funny.
I just love that, by the way. I wonder what setting of the washing machine Al has to be put on to get washed and all that type of stuff too. Because there's different settings. Like I wonder if it's like heavy duty. Maybe it's heavy duty. Maybe it's bulky. Because he's maybe he's ripped, so he's bulky. You never know.
With how much candy he eats, I'd be very surprised if he was ripped. I like even other little stuff where because Watari's the one narrating, and he even mentions that like L typically likes to kind of just shut himself in his room, but he will actually occasionally go out on his own, and like he'll go to like theme parks and like kind of just hang out at like regular parks and kind of sit on the swing set.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the fact that he actually, because we never really know about like L's like personal life, like if he actually had like a social life or everything like that. So that's cool. We're getting to see that a little bit. So
yeah. I mean, you can kind of tell from the show that he seemingly didn't have a whole lot of friends. Like aside from like Atari. But yeah, it is kind of nice because every time he like went out in Death Note, it was like for a purpose. Like when he went to the college and like played tennis, that was to investigate light.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like, oh wait, this is what he does in his free time.
Yeah, I like that. So it's kind of sad though, because you saw it kind of in Breaking Bad too. Like it seemed like the big cases, like the Eisenberg case, like the Kira case, like took away their free time and all that type of stuff. Where they just became so insistent and so obsessed with solving it.
Yeah, it seems like Al really get these little moments after he took on the Kira case, and obviously he got him killed. So he didn't really get any more moments like these after.
Yeah, so it's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just nice. And again, I like that Watari's the one narrating because we didn't actually get Watari was more of like a side character. We didn't really get a whole lot of him in the show. So it's kind of nice to hear his thoughts. Because I like that he kind of describes L as like frustrating. But like he, the way it's written, you can tell he kind of enjoys it. Like he kind of like, because L is his son, so like even though he's like L's a real handful, but he says it in kind of like in a loving way.
Yeah, I like that. What do you think the Netflix Death Note thought of L?
I don't think anyone in the Netflix Death Note thought at all, Owen. I don't think anyone had a thought in their brain while that movie was going on.
They had thoughts, just not good thoughts. So, but yeah, I liked. But yeah, like we said, all these are solid B. I like these. Just loved hearing about L's backstory, especially too. And I just love the really showing how much of an awkward person that he truly was and everything like that type of thing. So, then we have the pilot chapter.
Yeah, say this is the now to get back to fucking ground zero, the Death Note to start them all. So to give a little background, Owen, because I don't know how familiar you are with how it works. Shonen Jump is probably the biggest. It's not even probably. It is the biggest manga publishing company. They have they're the ones that did Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. A ton of other ones. And basically the way they would do it, is they're a weekly magazine, and they would release the weekly chapters of all these big series. And they would also have sections for the new series, and the way it works is, new people could submit pilot chapters And if the editors thought that it had potential, they would put it in the newcomer section of the magazine. And they were popular, then they would be like, all right, cool, hey, we want to make this a series.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this, Owen, you want to guess when this pilot chapter was released in the magazine?
I am going to guess that it was probably released in America. I'm gonna say it's pretty recent because one of them you mentioned released in 2022. I'm pretty sure it's the chapters 4 and 5. So I am gonna say in America that this came out. And it seems like I'm gonna say it's January 15th, 2024 in America. In Japan, obviously, I'm going to go back to 2008, and I'm going to say that this released in September 15th, 2008.
Oh, Owen, you remember, Owen, this is the pilot. This is before everything. This is before the Death Note manga.
I figured it was like an Avatar thing where I thought, I didn't think it got released. I didn't think it actually released before that. So I was thinking
well, no, like I was saying, this released in the magazine and it was popular enough, so they made it a series.
Well, I guess I'll guess again then. So, so since some of the Death Note stuff came out in like 2004, I'll guess a re-guess. Doesn't happen very often, and we don't know that someone gets to do a re-guess, but we're making history on this channel. It's not going to happen very often, so it'll be interesting to see what answer AJ takes. I am going to guess that this came out September 15th, 2003 in Japan. And then in America, because obviously anyways, I'm going to say that, since we got a Death Note late anyways, I will say that this probably came out just before Death Note, the manga in America. So I will say February 16th, 2004.
Oh, and I'm glad you re-guessed. You were so close. You were only a month off. So the issue of Weekly Shonen Jump this released in was August 4th, 2003.
Okay.
And again, like I said, it was very popular because 4 months later, they released chapter 1 of like the proper series. And then, so this was released in the magazine August 4th, 2003. And then they put it in like a book, a proper, in October 13th, 2006 in Japan. And then February 19th, 2008 in English.
Yeah, let's start talking about this one. This is years in the making. So this is called Torio Kagnima. Kanima?
Toro Kagami.
Toro what is it? Toro what?
Taro Kagami.
Toro Tagami. And it kicks off, we're in the Shinigami realm, and Ryuk, they kind of make it seem like he's kind of roughly like a carefree Shinigami. They obviously changed the fact that he just dropped his Death Note that he was bored. He mentions that he drops his Death Note like once a week sometimes, so he's kind of careless about that, and then eventually he's telling one of the Shinigami they actually did drop his Death Note, so the main Shinigami guy, like the leader, tells Ryuk to go get it. And then, we meet Toro, and Toro is actually younger. He's actually 13. Obviously, they made him younger. Obviously, that's a big change that happens in the main series. But Toro, we find out, is a kid that gets bullied all the time, and his bullies had been bullying him, and he notices the Death Note's been dropped. He picks it up. Unfortunately, he doesn't know what death means. He knows what note means, but he doesn't know what death means because he's just learning English, and he hasn't learned what death means yet. So, I guess...
Like that. Obviously, he's Japanese. He wouldn't know, like, English.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, though, would he have picked that up if he learned death first before note? Would he pick it up?
Maybe.
But But yeah, I do like that, you know, because Death Note's obviously written in English. So, and he goes home, and he didn't pick this up, obviously, like Light did, where he was like curious about it and everything like that. But he picked this up because he lost his journal recently, and he wanted a new journal to like so he could write stuff in and everything like that. And he starts journaling. He writes down the names of his bullies, saying that they've been bullying him, and then the next day, you know, he hears that the bullies died of a heart attack, and obviously, he's like worried about this because he obviously just writ their name. He obviously just written their names in the death note, so he's like thinking he had something to do with it, type of thing. But you know, he's like, nah, there has to be a coincidence, like type of thing. But then he's like wondering, like, but all of them at once would die of a heart attack. That just can't be, type of thing. And then the detectives start getting involved. Obviously, the detectives here. This was obviously to kind of play on L a little bit, but obviously a little bit more so the task force. They were just kind of normal detectives for the most part. One of them's kind of like an old...
like the prototype Chief Yagami and Matsuda.
Yeah, I would say so. We have the old like chief who's been doing this for years, and then the one that's consistently... I would say the young one is like a mixture of like Matsuda and maybe a little bit of like L, where like he thinks there's something more to this and all that type of stuff. And they're kind of investigating. They're kind of going from like house to house investigating, and doing all this. He's kind of getting the chief to like really like look into this because he just thinks it's odd that like 5 young kids, you know, pretty healthy, all of a sudden just died of heart attacks. He talks about it doesn't add up. And he like went to like the newspaper, and he went online and did some research and like noticed that this has happened before. It happened like somewhere else at like some type of prison or something like that, where this happened and they died of heart.
It was like bank branch, like all the employees in that bank like died.
Yeah. And he says, like, look, this has to be connected. I don't know what the connection is, but this is connected to something. So this kind of gets the chief to kind of, like, continue looking through the case. But then later on, Ryuk shows up. They obviously recreate the scene with Light a little bit, where, like, this guy's freaked out and all that type of stuff. Obviously, this guy's motives were different than Light's. He didn't just have, like, an evil laugh or anything like that type of thing. But this guy's obviously haunted about the fact that... you know, that he saw the Death Note, and he was kind of telling him about it, and they actually showed the rules. I think the rules were a little different. I want to pull them up real quick, because I think obviously some rules they kept and some rules they didn't keep. I'm just going to read them word for word, just because they were a little different. The notebook can only be used by the one who found it. If the owner throws it away or loses the right of ownership, is automatically transferred to whoever picks it up. Which, for the most part, I think was different, right? Because they definitely changed that. That didn't really stick.
I was gonna say, I think in the actual show, it's like you have to actually willingly give it up. Like,
yeah.
And also, in the show, I think it's, you know, like if you own it, like you could own it, but I think anybody can still use it because remember, Light tricked Ray Pember into using it.
That's right. Yeah. And then it says one must know the face of the person whose name is written down for there to be an effect, which obviously stayed the same. The way people with the same names would, that way people with the same names would not be affected. If you write a cause of death after the name like this, name died from cause of death, then it would happen. Obviously they they messed with that a little bit, but that overall stayed the same. You can write with any pen. The color doesn't matter. If you use a sticker with a name printed on it, there will be no effect. Okay, that's a thing. So,
I remember they mentioned that like there's like 60 pages, and if you fill up the entire book, you gotta like get a new one. But I think in the show they just say like there's infinite pages and there's no like you'll never run out.
Well, don't forget that's why that whole near thing is fucking stupid because like
yeah. Rewrote all the names in like one night.
It's like no way that can happen. So,
Yeah. Fucking 6 years of names. Okay.
That dude must have been fucking working major overtime.
Dude, that dude's carpal tunnel afterwards must have been so bad.
Please directly, and then it says, please directly, write directly onto the notebook. It would be a good idea to change your handwriting as much as possible. Then it says, these letters cannot be erased. It's referring to the death note. If the cover is destroyed, the notebook cannot be used. So, yeah, don't destroy the cover, I guess. So,
I don't think that one's in the show.
No. Can you imagine though, if like,
oh well, I mean, if I were here, I'd be fucked because I spill shit constantly. I would have 100% like spill tea on the death note and the cover's fucked. It's like, damn it, I can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Shit.
You probably spill it too, like before you even get. You would be the opposite effect, where like you would actually be the first one to not actually use the death note, not write a single name in it, because you'd spill something right there instantly. So.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't even get to use it. You know, where like Light is in his room and he ends up killing like the school shooter. It's like, no, I would like fucking spill it immediately, and it's like, oh, I guess I'll never find out if it's real or not.
Be careful not to let other people see it. You will not die if you write your own name here, but it is not recommended. I think it's like on the cover or whatever. So I guess good. You could just write your name on the cover like 40 times if you want. You won't die. So,
Hey.
And then when you run out of room to write in the notebook, how many death notes would you need? Then it says 60 pages with 38 lines per page. If you write small, you could cram it in as many as you want. Then it says the Shinigami's voice and form will go completely unnoticed by others, which obviously they kept that in the show. In return for letting you keep the notebook, the Shinigami may take it back at any time, which I don't think that's a thing, right? I feel like you can't just take it.
I don't think that's a thing. Death Note is like, I think it's just like Ryuk has to stick around until Light dies. I mean, I guess he could kill Light at any point, but like, you know, like I don't think he can just take Death Note back whenever. I think he has to die first.
Yeah, it'd be funny though if they actually kept that rule, and then like they get midway into the show and like I don't know, it's like doing like one of the conflict, like it's like doing like when Light's about to kill like Ray Pemba or something. We're just like, I'm gonna take that back now. Like when like. Or he takes it back like doing the bus hijacking. He takes it back. That'd be hilarious. So like right when you know, he's just like, and it's like when Light's plan starts to work well, and then we usually I'm taking this back now. Like it's like while it's still being hijacked too. He just takes the fucking book back too. Like
yeah, fucking kills everybody on the bus.
Then it says those who do not wish to be followed by the Shinigami can get rid of them simply by giving the notebook back or throwing it away. I feel like he'd accidentally throw the book away by mistake, AJ, too. Like, he'd probably accidentally throw it away, like, in the trash by mistake. Like, oh, I didn't mean to throw that.
Oh, probably. Yeah, so these notes and, you know, like, all these questions, you know, like, you know, what would you do with the, you know, because, like, the chapter ends with, like, Karo, like, looking at his, like, looking at, like, a paper, like, asking questions of, like, what would you do with the Death Note, you know, or, like, how many Death Notes would you go through? And this chapter is more so about the Death Note itself. Whereas, you know, when we get to the show, the Death Note's more of a tool. And I would say the main focus is like the cat and mouse chase between, you know, Light and Out.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I think that kind of shows the difference between the pilot and the actual show. And that makes sense because remember, this chapter wasn't meant to be a whole series. This was essentially meant to, like, pique readers' interests so they could make it a series, you know?
Yeah. So then, so the main character then gets visited by the detectives, and obviously the main character's a little haunted, and the detectives obviously are investigating him because they're investigating everyone they come in contact with, but the detectives do say that he is a pretty big suspect since, you know, it was his bully, so maybe he would have motivations to cause them heart attacks. So then, this is a new thing they added, and I'm glad this didn't transfer to the show. Ryuk reveals a magic eraser that can just bring back some of the victims that that have been killed by the Death Note. They can just come back to life now if you erase their names and everything.
Yeah, but really glad they didn't actually bring that into the actual show.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you showed me like it's like my first introduction to Death Note where there's like a funny video where like it's like the Death Note, but then there's like the life like book where you could bring people back to life or something. It's like something like that. So yeah, he erases the names. The bullies are back, and obviously everyone's thinking this is weird because they were just like dead. And so they do, I guess, do this pretty interestingly because then they ask like, "Where the hell were you guys? Like, what happened?" Because like they don't really know what happened. They were just in a void, I guess. They were just dead.
Yeah, that was really weird because like they just like show up to school the next day. They're like, "Oh man, we were dead. That's pretty fucking wild, man."
Are they technically zombies here? Because they're back to life. So it's like
I think they say like the rule is like if you erase the name in the Death Note, they come back to life as long as they're not cremated.
Yeah. So
I'm like, wait, why? So like, wait, how far are we stretching this? Because so they basically coming back to life if they're ash, but like, how far are we stretching this? What if they got fucking ripped in half? What if they, I don't know, fucking had their neck broken? What if fucking, I don't know, they got fucking shot in the head? like how far are we stretching this?
What if like the body too is like already like decomposed, like in the grave and all that type of stuff and everything like?
Yeah, well, I think I was gonna say, is there like a time limit on this?
I guess not. What if you write this in permanent? What if you write this in like permanent pen that can't be fucking erased? By the way, too,
Yeah, imagine you can't erase it. Well, also like how? So like we only see it used for people who are killed by the Death Note. So I'm like, would it work on somebody who wasn't killed by the Death Note? Well, like say I don't know, you have like I don't know, like your friend dies in a car crash. Could you like write his name in the Death Note and then erase it? Would that bring him back, or can you only bring back somebody who was killed by the Death Note?
I don't know. Like they didn't really explain that too well, but
why I'm glad they kind of don't use this after the pilot chapter, because this would create a whole fucking mess.
Yeah. So, they're like wondering.
Oh, could you like doing it? Like could you just like keep killing somebody over and over?
That'd be
fuck with them.
That'd be fucking torture.
Like South Park, where Kenny dies every episode.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like Light does that to Matsuda. Like Matsuda just keeps dying. It's like, oh my god, they killed Matsuda, you bastards.
But yeah, so the bullies are back, and they're being questioned and everything like that. Then eventually, the bullies and the detectives die of heart attack, and obviously, the main character's like, what the hell happened? And he kind of like, figures that it's somebody else with the Death Note, because obviously they died the same way. Because at first we think Ryuk dropped it, but he's like, no, someone must have dropped another Death Note. They obviously did this to show, like, it's not just one Death Note. There's other people with Death Notes. I'm pretty sure earlier, Ryuk said he has like a second Death Note, which I don't think that's how that works, but sure. But again,
well, yeah, that was set up because Ryuk was like, yeah, I got a spare Death Note right here, and then he dropped it, and that's how Sasuke gets it.
Yeah. So we find out that's like one of his friends got it, and he was like worried that like the main character was going to get caught. So the way they're going to try to fix this is, obviously they're going to like show this to the detectives and everything like that, and like basically turn themselves in. So they erase the detectives' names and the bullies, and they go back in. At first they go to the hospital.
They literally die twice.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
I don't know. It's like,
the detectives get an explanation. These bullies, like, never find out what happened. So from their POV, they died, came back to life for, like, a day, then died again, and then came back to life. I would be horrified for the rest of my life of, like, any moment I just keep dying and coming back.
I know.
If I were these bullies, like, fuck you, Jesus. I'm double Jesus. I came back to life twice.
I would, can you imagine? By the way, they just think they're godlike and they can just die and come back, and then they just kill.
I'm girl. I'm gonna jump. Oh, it's like SpongeBob and Patrick. I'm like, we're invincible, and they jump off the cliff.
Yeah. Or that Rick and Morty episode where the guy thought he could like survive acid, and then like he actually went to like real acid.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, these kids do that. It's so funny.
But anyhow, so yeah, so they go explain it to the detectives. Obviously, the detectives don't believe him, so like they want proof. So they prove it by this guy's buddy is gonna write his name in the death note and then like bring him back to life. So he does that. And he erases his name. It'd be funny if I was thinking when I was reading this, like he's not gonna put him back. He's just gonna leave him like fucking dead, which I thought would have been hilarious.
Yeah, it's like so. Like that guy's kind of a dick. Can we just like leave him dead? Like, yes, you know what? We'll leave him dead for like a week. How about that? We'll bring him back after a week.
I could see why they didn't keep the eraser thing going because you could fucking like that could.
Oh, I mean, it would make it a comedy, It's just fucking killing people and bringing them back over and over.
However, I do have 2 quarters right here. If you were to bring the eraser into the real show, I would say these quarters are right there. Show 2 quarters, shiny quarters too. They're not rusted or nothing. Maybe bring.
Oh wow! Shiny doubloons.
Yeah, maybe bring back Mello. For the show, use that eraser.
Yeah. Maybe you could write Nier's name and just like forget to erase it. I'm just saying.
If the eraser was so happen to disappear too after Nier's name was written in it, no one.
Oh no! I accidentally swallowed the eraser. That sucks. I guess we can't use it anymore.
So if you picked up the eraser, by the way, could you see like the Shinigami too? Because if you touch the Death Note,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. That is weird. Like, how would that work?
I don't know.
Also, what if you like use the eraser? Like, what if you like run out of the eraser? What if the eraser breaks?
I don't know. What if you like use the eraser on something that's not Death Note related? Does it work as a normal eraser?
Yeah, what if you erase something in like a normal book? Like, what if you're like reading a history book and you like erase Abraham Lincoln's name? Would he like come back to life?
Do we want him to come back to life? Right? He's cool, right? I think he's cool, right?
I mean, he ended slavery. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. I mean, I don't know about you, Owen. I am pro anti-slavery. I almost said pro-slavery. I am pro anti-slavery.
I got it confused. I thought, because George Washington was actually like had like a slave, so I got it confused of the person and all that type of stuff. So
yeah, I was gonna say, oh, Abraham Lincoln was the guy who stopped that. So
yeah. But yeah, if you erase his...
He pointed out and he was like, "Hey guys, don't do that anymore." Okay.
Ah, good guy. That's what happens to your president too. You can especially be like, "Yeah, we're not doing this no more." So, but anyhow,
although, if Ryuk dropped the Death Note at him, would he pick it up?
I think anyone would pick it up just to be curious, just based off curiosity. Be like, "Wow, this is a cool notebook," I mean, Light Toda picked it up, so.
I was gonna say Trump didn't. You never
know. That's true. Trump did not. But anyhow, so basically it ends. They ask the kid asks him like what it's like to be alive, and also the kids aren't gonna get arrested or nothing since like they proved that the Death Note's not real. Which again, I don't really think that's how that works. Like they still went and like killed a bunch of people, I guess. But sure, I guess because they didn't.
Use is that like it was an accident, like they didn't mean to.
That's true. So.
I guess it's still manslaughter, but like I guess it doesn't count anymore because they came back. This is so strange.
Yeah. Although I did enjoy this, I actually kind of liked that the kid was like more like we've been seeing a lot of people that get the Death Note like the immoral, so it's kind of cool that they took this approach to it. Obviously, I can understand why.
Okay, so you missed a couple things at the end there.
What? So yeah.
So, the kid, when he's explaining to the police, he lied because he said that I had the Death Note, then I dropped it, and then this kid picked it up. He left out that there's 2 Death Notes because at the end the detective burns it, not knowing the kid still has the Death Note.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because his friend is like, "Oh, cool, I'm glad that's settled," and then he looks around and Taro like fucked off. And then it cuts to years later, and then the kid's like a teenager now, and I guess it's implied he still has the Death Note.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And also because earlier, a mystery novel guy was like on TV and he was doing an interview of like if he's like about like the heart attacks.
Yeah.
And it, like he didn't die because he was using a pen name. And then like at the I'm guessing one of my neighbors is getting arrested. The police just rolled up.
Wow.
And then what was I saying? And then at the end, like when he's a teenager, you see like on a poster like a new mystery novel about a Death Note. So it's implied it's that guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I forgot about that. But other than that, overall, I enjoyed this pilot, though. I like the fact, again, that this that we actually got to see like how Death Note got its concept started and everything like that. So, yeah, I enjoyed the pilot chapter. I'll probably give it like a B minus. I would have done obviously.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go forward with this. Like, I'm glad they changed it up for the actual show.
Yeah, like the erasure thing, I'm glad was cut because
And Taro was kind of boring. Obviously he was just like a kid. Like, he found the Death Note. He was like, "Oh fuck, this thing works," and then he's like, "All right, here you go."
Yeah. So,
but then it's kind of weird at the end where he's like, I guess it's implied he's kind of evil because he like keeps the Death Note.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's all the Death Note stuff. Kind of glad to put a little bit of a bow on like the original manga, like Death Note concept. Like obviously, the only thing really left is all the stuff that really isn't a part of the manga. I guess the manga itself, if we ever want to cover that, but
yeah, maybe eventually we'll cover the manga. Because we are like going to do like the Walking Dead comic and stuff. So it'll be maybe it'll be fun to eventually do the Death Note manga. I'm something Death Note related this year, especially the pilot chapter. As I said, it's always fun to see where these stories originate.
Yeah, I'm gonna call our shot now. 2029 will be like 10 years since we did the anime. 2029 we'll do the manga.
Sure, why not? That'll be fun. And then like I said, we'll eventually get to the other Death Note related stuff. So look forward to that.
But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. As for stuff to check out, again, AJ is going to be coming down in person. We're going to do a few videos. We're going to finally, I'm finally going to see The Last Airbender. AJ and I are going to watch it live together. And again, you could see a murder on YouTube that day. So,
yeah, you'll see, instead of me using a Death Note, you'll see me just fucking strangle him to death if he actually likes the movie. So look forward to that.
Yeah. I might lie and say I liked it if, I don't know how you lie about that, though, because you're probably going to be like, well, so, but, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, and we will talk to you guys later.